I'm Dr. Savid Warren. I'm 60 years old, and after more than 3 decades working with patients over 50, I've realized something interesting. Our eyes don't age the way we think they do. They just get tired. They're constantly trying to repair themselves after a long day of battling blue light, dust, stress, and all the emotions we don't always acknowledge. And the most magical part? It all happens at night when you close your eyes, slow your breathing, and drift into deep sleep. That's when the retina begins its natural repair cycle. But here's the unfortunate truth. Many eyes don't have the nutrients they need to heal properly. I want you to picture this. One of my patients, Linda, she's 67, once told me that every night while driving home felt twice as bright, and if she read for more than 15 minutes, her eyes would burn. She thought she was getting old, but in reality, her eyes were simply missing something very simple, yet incredibly powerful. Sweet potatoes. I know it sounds almost too simple, but inside that bright orange potato is beta-carotene, Stifford which your body turns into vitamin A, the exact nutrient your retina needs to rebuild light-sensing cells while you're in deep sleep. I remember telling her, try eating a baked sweet potato in the evening, about 90 minutes before bed. It eyes the fuel they need to repair themselves. And guess what? Just a little over 3 weeks later, sex 0.7 seconds, she called me. Sex 0.7 seconds, completely surprised. Doctor, I'm driving at night again. The Google as the glare is gone. That wasn't a miracle. That was science, and a gentle reminder that our eyes often need nothing more than the right kind of care. Now in on him in months. Meta, sec doctor, I don't know what happened, but I wake up and my eyes feel awake. Clearer, lighter. That wasn't luck. That was his eyes finally getting what they needed. Better circu, you know. When we talk about eye health, most people think about vitamins or eye drops. But there's something we rarely talk about: blood flow to the retina. I often tell my patients, Meta, your eyes need a warm, steady river of blood, the same way the earth needs water after a long. And one of the most gentle, powerful ways to support that is through something surprisingly simple. Raw cacao, not the sweet chocolate bars you find at the grocery store. I'm talking about pure, Meta, sun-roasted cacao, the kind ancient cultures once called the food of the gods. Because inside it is a compound called epicatechin, which helps open up tiny blood vessels in your retina, allowing more oxygen to reach those delicate light-sensing cells. I remember an afternoon years ago when Richard, 72 years old and a devoted newspaper reader, came to see me. His eyes always looked tired. #Meta, sex, 0.7 focuses, heavy. #Meta, sex, 0.7 focuses, as if he had stayed up all night. Sex, 0.7 tombs. I asked him, sex, 0.7 focuses, are you getting enough sleep? Sex, 0.7 tombs. He laughed. Sex, 0.7 focuses. Oh yes. Sex, 0.7 focuses. Doctor, sex, 0.7 tombs. But my eyes still feel like they're waking up underwater. Sex, 0.7 tunes. Satan suggested something simple. Sex, 0.7 fook. Try a warm cup of raw cacao before bed, just 2 tablespoons mixed with lightly heated almond milk. Sex, 0.7 tunes. No sugar. Sex, 0.7 fooks. No processing. Sex, 0.7 tune. Just cacao. Sex, 0.72s. 3 weeks later, sex, 0.71s. He returned with a smile I hadn't. Seculation during the hours when healing actually happens. Sex, 0.72s. And if you've ever woken up with tired, sex 0.71s, heavy eyes, sex 0.71s. Just imagine opening them in the morning and feeling refreshed. Sometimes all it takes is a simple cup of cacao to make that difference. Sex. There's something many people over 50 tell me all the time. Doctor, why do my eyes get so tired just from looking at a screen? And I always say gently, it's not your fault. It's your macula calling for help. The macula, the tiny center of your retina, is the part that helps you read fine print, recognize faces, and see details clearly. But today, constantly under attack from blue light, phones, tablets, computers, TVs, and over the years, it becomes weaker, more sensitive, and slower to recover. One of the most powerful natural protectors of the macula is something very small, very red, and incredibly ancient: goji berries. I still remember Martha, a 61-year-old accountant who came to see me one morning. She spends hours staring at spreadsheets, meta, sex, 0.7 seconds, and she said, sex, 0.7 seconds. Difford wanted, 0.7 seconds. I feel like my eyes have tiny metal shavings in them. Everything gets blurry so fast. I explained to her that goji berries are rich in zeaxanthin, a special carotenoid that goes straight to the macula and forms a natural filter, a red shield that protects the eyes from blue light damage. I told her, sex, try eating a small handful of goji berries in the evening, or soak them in warm water and mix them with Greek yogurt. Give your macula what it's been missing. 3 weeks later, she returned with a brightness in her eyes that I hadn't seen before. She said, I don't have to squint at my screen anymore. My eyes don't feel gritty or tired. Her story isn't rare at all. When you feed your macula the nutrients it needs, especially at night, it becomes stronger. It's more resilient and better protected. And if you've ever felt your eyes burn at the end of a long day, maybe what they really need is a little red shield of their own. One question I hear all the time from patients over 60 is this: Doctor, why do bright lights bother me so much now? And why do letters look a little fuzzy in the mornings? I always smile gently because I know exactly what's happening. Their macula, the center of vision, is starving for two nutrients it relies on every single day: lutein and zeaxanthin. And here's what surprises most people. Sex, 0.7 seconds. The most absorbable, sex, 0.7 second most powerful source of these nutrients isn't a fancy supplement or a rare vegetable. It's something simple, it's familiar, and sitting right in your kitchen. Organic egg yolks. I'll never forget Samuel, 69 years old, a retired truck driver who loved long road trips. He came to me frustrated because nighttime driving had become almost impossible. He said, Doctor, the headlights hit my eyes and everything just blows up. I can't handle the glare anymore. When I reviewed his diet, I noticed something quickly. He had been avoiding eggs for years because he was afraid of cholesterol. I explained, Samuel, egg yolks aren't the enemy. Not when it comes to your eyes. For your vision, they're like drinking a glass of pure golden light. Egg yolks from pasture-raised hens contain lutein and zeaxanthin already bound to natural fats, meaning your body absorbs them far better than the versions found in plants. 2 soft cooked yolks can do more for your macula than a whole bowl of leafy greens. 3 weeks later, Samuel returned with tears in his eyes. The good kind. Doctor, I can drive at night again. The glare doesn't blind me anymore. That wasn't magic. It was nourishment, the exact kind his macula had been missing all along. Sometimes the simplest foods carry the most powerful healing energy. And for aging eyes, egg yolks truly are a gentle, golden light. There's something I often tell my patients over 50. It's not just your eyesight that changes with age, it's your relationship with darkness. You may have noticed it yourself. Walking into a dim room feels harder. Driving at sunset makes you nervous. Even stepping from bright daylight into your living room takes a moment before your eyes adjust. That's not weakness. That's your photoreceptor cells, the tiny sensors that help you see in low light, slowing down. And one of the most remarkable natural foods to help strengthen those cells is something small, dark, and deeply purple. Bilberries. I still remember Eleanor, 74 years old, gentle, soft-spoken, who came to see me one afternoon. She said, "Doctor, the moment the sun goes down, it feels like the night just swallows everything. I can't see shapes clearly. I feel unsafe." When I tested her vision, the problem wasn't just in the retina itself. It was in how quickly her eyes could send light signals to her brain. The transmission had simply slowed down with age. That's exactly where bilberries shine. They're packed with anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their deep purple color. These compounds strengthen the tiny blood vessels that feed your retina and help your photoreceptors catch light faster, especially in the dark. I suggested that Eleanor eat a small handful of bilberries each evening, or mix them with a spoon of full-fat yogurt to boost absorption. 3 weeks later, sex, 0.7 fursons, she walked into my office with the brightest smile. Sex, 0.7 fursons. "Doctor, I watched the sunset yesterday. Sex, 0.7 fursons. I could still see clearly afterward. Sex, 0.7 fursons. I haven't felt that in years. Sex, 0.7 fursons." Her eyes weren't fixed overnight. Sex, 0.7 fursons. They were simply nourished, supported, given what they needed to function again. Sex, 0.7. For many people, 0.7 bilberries become like the gentle, purple glow of dusk. A quiet companion that helps the eyes find confidence in the dark once more. There are quiet problems inside the eye that most people don't notice until much later in life. And one of the most common and most overlooked is increased eye pressure. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't sting. It's your eyes red, but slowly, silently, it begins to press on the optic nerve and steal away clarity. I remember Jonathan, 71 years old, sex 0.7 calm, sex 0.7 gentle, seckle man who loved gardening. He sat down in my office one morning and said, "Doctor, I don't know how to explain it. My eyes just feel heavy, like something is pushing from the inside." That feeling is often the first whisper of rising intraocular pressure. And thankfully, sex, 0.7 seconds, nature gave us one of the best tools to support the eyes during this time. Sex, 0.7 seconds. Black currants. Sex, 0.72 seconds. These little dark purple berries may not look like much. Sex, 0.7 seconds. But inside them are two powerful allies. Sex, 0.7 seconds. Vitamin C, which strengthens the tiny capillaries feeding your retina. Sex, 0.7 seconds. And GLA. Sex, 0.7 seconds. Risky acid that reduces inflammation in the tissues around the optic nerve. Sex, 0.7 seconds. Together. Sex, 0.7 seconds. They work like a repair crew. Sex, 0.7 seconds. Help reopen those microscopic pathways that carry oxygen and nutrients into the eye. I told Jonathan, try eating a small handful of black currants in the evening, or mix black currant seed oil with a spoonful of cottage cheese. It helps your body absorb the GLA better. He looked skeptical, but he agreed. A month later, sex, zero point 0.7 seconds, he returned with a lightness in his eyes and said, "Doctor, the heaviness is gone. My vision feels clearer, less lifted." It wasn't a miracle. It was circulation, restored. Budding Clarence aren't flashy, but for aging eyes, hashtag zero point 0.7 fickets, they act like a gentle, purple river, flowing through the tiniest vessels, opening them back up, and bringing life to places that had quietly grown tired. Sometimes healing begins with something as small as a berry, taken at the right hour of the night. When you step into your 50s, hashtag menopause, sex, zero point 0.7 fistin, something subtle begins to happen. Hashtag menopause, sex, zero point 0.7 2 seconds. World doesn't look blurry, it just looks a little dimmer. Hashtag pause, sex, zero point 0.7 2 seconds. Colors lose a bit of their spark. Hashtag menopause, sex, zero point 0.7 2 seconds. Details seem softer. Hashtag pause, sex, zero point 0.7 fistin. As if a light layer of dust has settled over everything. Hashtag pause, sex, zero point 0.7 2 seconds. That isn't your imagination. Hashtag pause, sex, zero point 0.7 2 seconds. It's your photoreceptor cells, the tiny cells responsible for capturing light, beginning to slow down. Hashtag pause, sex, zero point 0.7. I often tell my patients, clear vision isn't just about the lens of your eye. It's about whether your photoreceptors are awake, alive, and responding. And one of the most remarkable natural ingredients for reawakening those cells is something ancient, precious, and incredibly powerful. Stifring saffron. I'll never forget Angela, 63 years old, an artist who loved painting landscapes. She came to me one day looking heartbroken. She said, "Doctor, the colors I paint don't look the same anymore. It's like the world has faded." I knew exactly what was happening. Her photoreceptors weren't processing color and light the way they used to. I suggested something simple. Hashtag meta, sex, zero point 0.7 seconds, and comforting. Each night, make yourself a warm cup of saffron milk. Just a few threads steeped in warm almond or whole milk. Drink it before bed and let your eyes repair while you sleep. Saffron contains crocin and crocetine, two compounds scientifically proven to help photoreceptors function better, even reversing mild age-related macular changes. 3 weeks later, meta, sex, 0.7 seconds. Angela walked into my office looking like a different person. Ciro told me, "Doctor, I saw the sunrise yesterday, and the colors were bright again." I didn't realize how much I missed that. Her eyes weren't magically healed. They were reawakened. It doesn't shout, it doesn't force. It simply nourishes, a gentle golden drop that reminds your eyes how to see clearly again. Sex for many people over 50, that golden drop becomes the beginning of a brighter world. There's something I always remind my patients over 50. Your eyes don't heal when you're awake. They heal when you sleep. We often focus on foods, supplements, blue light, or screen habits, but we forget the most important factor of all. Your eyes are one of the organs that depend the most on high-quality sleep. I still remember a late evening when Doris, 68 years old, called me sounding worried. Doctor," she said, "my vision has gotten worse so quickly. I eat well. I take supplements. Why is this happening?" So I asked her one simple question. "How many nights this week did you sleep all the way through?" There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "None." That told me everything. I explained to her, and it's what I want you to truly understand today. Meta, pause, sex, zero point 0.7 focus, during deep sleep and REM. Meta, pause, sex, zero point 0.7 focus, blood flow to the retina increases by up to 41st trem. Meta, pause, sex, 0.72. That's when the eye finally gets the oxygen and nutrients it needs to repair the tiny damages caused by light. Meta, pause, sex, 0.7 strain. Meta, pause, sex, 0.7 focus and stress throughout the day. Meta, pause, sex, 0.72. If you sleep poorly. Meta, pause, sex, 0.7 focus. Your retina never gets the chance to fix itself. Meta, pause, sex, 0.7 focus. That's why so many people over 50 wake up with eyes that feel more tired than the night before. Sex told Doris to try a few simple things. Turn off screens an hour before bed. Drink a warm glass of water. Dim the lights and let her body settle. Just 2 weeks later, "Doctor, my morning vision is clearer." I didn't change anything except sleeping better. Hashtag Meta. Sometimes healing isn't about adding more. It's about giving your body and your eyes the quiet, peaceful time they've been missing. Because every night you sleep well, you're giving your eyes a chance to become just a little stronger, a little brighter. There are simple things in life that we overlook because they seem too ordinary. And drinking water before bed is one of them. But as we age, especially after 50, the tear film that protects the surface of our eyes becomes thinner, less stable, and more fragile. Just a little dehydration can make your eyes feel dry, gritty, or blurry when you wake up. I remember Patrick, sex, a distant 6-year-old man who came into my office with red, irritated eyes every morning. "Doctor, it feels like there's sand in my eyes when I wake up, and I don't even read as much anymore." His diet was good, his sleep was decent, his lighting at home was fine, but there was one big issue. He barely drank water, especially at night. I explained to him that even when your eyelids are closed, surface of your eyes still needs enough moisture to stay protected through the night. If your body doesn't have enough water, your tear film breaks apart, leaving your eyes dry, inflamed, and sensitive in the morning. I told Patrick, try drinking half a glass of warm water 45 minutes before bed. Not too much, just enough to give your eyes what they need. Sex, he wasn't convinced at first, but he agreed to try. 3 weeks later, he returned with the happiest expression I'd seen from him. "Doctor, the burning and dryness in the morning, it's gone." Sometimes the solution isn't a supplement, a special food, or a complex routine. Sometimes it's simply hydration at the right time. And when you give your eyes the moisture they need, hashtag they reward you with clarity, the kind that helps you start your day feeling calm, refreshed, and in control. There's a question I often ask my patients, especially those over 60. So when was the last time your eyes truly rested before bed? Most people smile awkwardly because they already know the answer. Our evenings aren't really restful anymore. We check our phones. We read the news. We watch TV until the very last minute. And all of that sends blue light straight into the retina. And blue light doesn't just keep your brain awake, it keeps your eyes awake. Sex too. I remember Margaret, 65 years old, who came to see me with eyes that looked exhausted. She said, "Doctor, I sleep through the night, but my eyes wake up feeling like they never got any rest. Do you look at your phone before bed?" Differed, just a little. Maybe an hour. Hashtag Meta. There it was, at Meta. I explained something that many people don't realize. Blue light stops your retina from entering its repair mode. It tells your photoreceptors to stay alert, stay active, stay awake, even when the rest of your body is trying to sleep. And when those cells don't shift into repair mode, the next morning your eyes feel strained, heavy, or even slightly blurry. I told Margaret, "Give your eyes 1 hour, no screens, no phones, dim the lights, and let your eyes breathe." 2 weeks later, she came back with a brightness in her voice I hadn't heard before. "Doctor, my eyes feel alive in the morning. I didn't know the difference could be this big." Sometimes healing isn't about adding anything new. It's about taking away the one thing that's been quietly exhausting your eyes. Sex, 0.7 seconds. When you turn off the world, just for a little while, your eyes finally get to step into the darkness they need to repair, rebuild, and rest. There are moments in my career that stay with me, no matter how many years pass. One of those moments was the morning when Robert, 73 years old, walked into my office, rubbing his eyes gently. He said, "Doctor, every morning my eyes feel dry, like someone drained the moisture out of them overnight." I looked into his eyes, a little red, a little tired, the way eyes look when they've been struggling quietly for a long time. I knew right away this wasn't about sleep. It was about his photoreceptor cells, the tiny lamps inside the retina, running low on the most important fuel they need. 0.7 DHA. 0.7 DHA isn't just another omega-3. It makes up about 60% of the retina structure, especially the cells that capture light and send signals to the brain. And one of the richest, most natural sources of DHA is something I recommend again and again. Wild-caught salmon. Not farm-raised, not dyed salmon, but wild salmon, fish that grew in cold, natural waters, carrying the clean, powerful fats that aging eyes desperately need. When I told Robert to try eating a small portion of wild salmon for dinner a few nights a week, lightly seasoned with turmeric and black pepper, he looked surprised. "All that's needed is salmon?" Smiled. Sometimes the body doesn't need medicine. It just needs the right fuel. 2 weeks later, he returned with eyes that looked calmer, clearer, almost relieved. "Doctor," he said, "my eyes aren't dry in the morning anymore, and reading at night doesn't tire me like before." That wasn't magic. It was restoration, the kind that happens when your eyes finally receive the lamp oil they've been missing. Wild salmon doesn't just feed your body, it feeds the tiny lights inside your eyes, helping them shine, focus, and recover the way they were meant to.
When I look back on more than 3 decades of practicing medicine, the moments that move me most aren't the big surgeries or the complicated diagnoses. It's something much simpler. It's when a patient sits across from me and says, "Doctor, this morning, I could see a little clearer than yesterday. I've seen a 70-year-old woman read again without squinting. An 82-year-old man tell me he no longer fears the glare of headlights at night. I woke up and my eyes felt light again, like they weren't working against me anymore." You see, our eyes are not just tools for vision. They're how we connect to the world, how we recognize the faces we love, enjoy a sunrise, or read a page that touches our heart. And the beautiful thing is, meta, no matter your age, 50, 60, 70, even 80, your eyes can improve when you nourish them with the right habits every night. A baked sweet potato, a warm cup of raw cacao, a handful of goji berries, a piece of wild salmon, or simply turning off your phone an hour before bed. Small choices, repeated consistently, become the quiet repair team that restores your vision while you sleep. If you've stayed with me until now, thank you. I don't believe you watched this because your eyes are failing. I believe you watched because you want to feel stronger, clearer, and more in control of your life. If this video helped you, please click like, leave a comment, or share it with someone who's worried about their eyesight. You might be giving them the gift of clarity they didn't know they could regain. Originate. When you take care of your eyes, you're taking care of your independence, your confidence, your connection to the world. Stay well. #meta, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.